It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil.
Yeah.
It's wine time.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil. Minus Shelley at the very beginning. So we have to pivot, and sometimes we just have to do that. It is Friday, June 30th, episode 167. I've even got a wrong date on this. No, I've got it right. Episode 167 on Wine Time Fridays. The last Friday in June, which is the last Friday of Idaho Wine Month. Happy Friday. Shelley's not here to say that. It's wine time. I don't ring it nearly as well as she does. Today we've got Erin Rutherford with Hat Ranch Winery. We've had a whole month of Idaho wines and wineries. And the last 3 weeks, we've actually had guests. It's one of Shelley's big things is we need to bring guests in because guests know a lot more than we do. We only know just a little bit, and people get tired of hearing from us. And so, Erin, welcome to this week's episode.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm going to get right in now. So, Erin, just a full disclosure, she's already been drinking. And so now I'm in the position of having to catch up with her. But Erin, tell us a little bit while I'm opening this. Tell us a little bit about this 2021, dare I say, dry Moscato.
Dry Moscato, ain't your mama's Moscato. So this Moscato has no sugar in it. I know it says the word dry, but people always get scared because the M word negates everything else they've ever seen about the bottle that you're currently holding.
Yeah.
So this particular one, we pick the grapes very early. They don't get very sweet on the vine. And then we do not add any sugar to the bins once they're starting to ferment. So they'll get pressed and everything, put into tanks, just the grapes and water and whatever yeast we end up using for that particular batch. And then we ferment all of the sugar out. So when it is bottled, it has zero residual sugar. So it is more like a Pinot Grigio or a Sauv Blanc in that sense.
I'm going to say it's got the nose of a Pinot Grigio for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
you taste it.
Little bit of hint of like Viognier maybe or something.
Very floral. Yep.
So, well, this is just so awkward. So we're going to go ahead and toast to health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance. And Shelley would say peace on earth. Let's taste it up. Zero residual sugar.
Zero.
Nothing.
Nothing.
And it tastes, the sweetness that you're tasting is the floral and fruit notes.
Mm-hmm. And I have to talk to people about that because they get very confused. They're like, no, it tastes sweet. And it's like, well, your brain will still process flowers and fruit as being sweet. And so there is actually no sugar, but your brain says it's sweet.
It's just really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's really delicious. This is such a great wine for summer, which now, of course, we are a little over a week into summer 2023. Thank goodness. Yeah, and so this is perfect for that. Last week we had a Semillon, and that is fantastic as well. All these, you don't have to have Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay going out and about. And this is such a great thing to pour into someone's glass, and someone says, I really don't like sweet wine. I'm like,
That's okay.
Zero residual sugar. No.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? It's a dry Moscato. No. So we're going to jump right into this week's Wine Time Friday. It's the Naked Wines Wine Word of the Week because I knew we were going to have this, and we I don't believe, have featured a Muscat grape.
Ooh.
So this is the first time. And that is the wine word of the week is Muscat grape. And I'm going to read a little bit about this. And then, Erin, you're going to fill in that last question. So the Muscat grape is a versatile grape that can be used to make a wide variety of wines from sweet to dry. It is a popular choice for both dessert wines and sparkling wines. Muscat wines are known for their strong floral aromas and fruity flavors. There you go, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're often enjoyed on their own or paired with fruits, desserts, and light appetizers, all well and good. Muscat grapes are grown in many different regions around the world, but they're most commonly found in warm, sunny climates. Some of the most famous Muscat producing regions include Italy, France, Greece, South Africa, and Australia. Did I forget anything, Erin, on where it might be produced?
Yeah, you totally missed the Sunny Slope in the Snake River wine region.
Yep. How about that? This is an estate. This is
a state grown.
Yes.
And we have about an acre and a half of vines that we harvest every year.
$21 a bottle at the winery. Again, I don't even want to say it's a great alternative. I mean, it is a great alternative, but maybe Chardonnay should be the alternative to this, right? This is really, really good. I know that Shelly's going to love this when she makes her way down. And it's a perfect deck wine and a pool wine and a front porch wine. And you know what? Probably great for Halloween night too. I think you can have this anytime. Yep.
I particularly like it with spicy Thai food. So that's my go-to.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I have a question for you. You know, you work at a winery.
Uh-huh.
Do you find yourself only by the way, having been in the wine industry now for 167 episodes, I love it. We get these little perks. But do you find yourself kind of only drinking Hat Ranch Winery wines, or are you drinking, are there other things that you'd like to share with, you know, some of your tastes?
So I do drink a lot of Hat Ranch wine because I get an excellent employee discount. So it's really hard to beat that, having great wine at a much cheaper cost. I'll experiment and look for things at the grocery store, but my wine rack has become quite intensive over the past few years since I've been working there. And my husband doesn't drink wine, so I don't like to drink wine by myself. So I wait until friends drink wine with me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. A friend of ours who has now become a sponsor again, 3D Kitchens by Design. His wife stopped drinking wine. Now he's like, yep, now I gotta drink the whole bottle. And he's a red wine snob, so he doesn't touch whites, and it's hard to get him to drink anything other than a Cabernet Sauvignon.
So sometimes you have to sneak it in there.
Well, this one seems like a great one to sneak into those people that have this bias against things. And then you pour this and they're like, well, this is really fruity and fresh and fun. And hashtag fruity, fresh and fun.
Yeah, there you go. So my favorite thing to do with this particular wine is when people come in and they say, you know what, I really don't want anything sweet. What are you going to give us for the tasting? And a lot of time I'll just be like, oh, you know what? I've got a dry house white. It's one of our specialties. Give it a try and see what you think.
Yeah.
And they try it and they're like, wow, this is amazing. It's so crisp and fruity, but it's not sweet. And then they're like, what is it? And I'm like, well, what do you think it is? And so they just start guessing. They have no idea. Sure. Very few people will get Moscato. And finally, I'm like, okay, would you believe that it's a Moscato? And they're like, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh.
You just have to take that bottle out and say, this is what you're drinking.
Yep, this is what you're drinking. This is a dry Moscato. There's no sugar. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm drinking a Moscato and I didn't spit it out. Who knew?
which Muscat grape is it? Because there's a number of different Muscat.
Yeah, so this is the Muscat Autumnal.
Okay. And so I'm guessing that's a less sweet grape.
Yeah, it tends to be a little bit more robust on the flavors. This one will even pull a little bit of citrus zest sometimes. It just kind of depends on the growing season.
Sure. And then do you have to pick it at a certain time of year, like?
So depending on the season, we generally pick this one. We've picked it as early as the end of August.
Yeah.
If we've had a particularly hot summer. The past few years, it's mid-September, end of September, just because of the way our growing season has been. But it's generally one of the first white grapes that we'll pick. We'll often pick alongside when we do our Tempranillo.
Award winner? You're going to have
Absolutely.
I do not have those in front of me. And so I'm going to lean on you to tell me which of these are award winners.
Yeah, so this 21 Dry Moscato won a double gold and best in its class for the 2022 Idaho Wine Competition. Now that said,
competition.
Yep, so just local, so Idaho, all Idaho wines are entered, but we can't send this one to anywhere else because they never have a dry Moscato category, and it will always lose to everything in the sweet Moscatos. They taste it and they're like, oh God, what did you do to us? So it can never compete with anything because no one else has a dry Moscato. So we don't send it anywhere because it's pointless.
But that's interesting. You would think, well, of course, it's the Idaho Wine and Cider Company, so they have ciders as well. But like Cascadian, Sunset, and all those other wine competitions, they don't even have a Moscato. I guess it really is. It's on its own.
This one, there is one other winery in Idaho right now that makes a dry Moscato. And then they just started doing it recently. So we've been making it. It's one of our flagship wines since we opened. So we opened in 2011.
So you've been making wine. What was your first vintage?
The 2011, we actually picked a couple grapes from somewhere else and brought them in to start making wine. And then our first vintage was 2012 on whites. I think we got a little bit of 12, but mostly 13 for reds.
So what do you do with and at and for the winery?
So I am the tasting room manager, and I'm also in charge of outside sales. So I run the show where we drink the wine.
Beautiful. That's awesome. And
yeah.
Are you well distributed?
Oh, heavens, no. We are here in the Valley and not anywhere else outside. I distribute, so it's as far as I feel like going. So right now we're Caldwell, Nampa, Meridian, a little bit of Eagle, and Boise, and that's about as far as it goes. If we get bigger, then we'll talk about having a distributor take our wine elsewhere. But for right now, we're 3,500 to 4,000 cases a year. So it's still very boutique winery.
Yeah, that's not a bad number though. That was what Lindsay Creek is producing, is about 4,000 cases as well. I really think it's a good number. How many cases of this dog right here?
So that one we had about 220 cases. Okay. We're dwindling down to our last 60 or so.
Okay. And are you creating a library of your wines?
We do, but we don't hold back the whites just because it's such a young valley that whites don't age that well here. So we tell people, 3 to 5 years on your whites is about the farthest you want to go. But we try to hold back reds. People, well, what do you mean you're out? I'm like, well, we only made 200 cases of this, so we're out. So, but that said, we usually try to hold 3 to 5 cases of one particular wine for 2 or 3 years down the road. It just kind of depends. We had a really rough year for the Snowmageddon year. So the 16-17 winter, we actually lost all of our crop because of a late freeze, and the Snake River Valley lost almost 80% of the crop. And so our winemaker and owner does Idaho grapes, and he did not want to compromise that and say, we'll just go get grapes wherever we can find them. So we still only did Idaho grapes that year. So our vintage for 2017 was 680 cases.
Wow.
A lot lower than your typical 3,000 to 4,000.
Sure. And that's something you have to decide on? Did you lose any vines or did you just lose the crop?
We did not lose vines because we have our own root vines. We are not grafted. And so had we been grafted, we would have lost everything down to the ground and had to start over. So that was impressive.
The grafts are great because generally you're getting a stronger root than you would typically.
For the plant that you want. Yeah.
But it's got that downside as well because that graft, you're going to be vulnerable and susceptible.
So in this valley is so, you never know what's going to happen for winter. And that was like the worst winter we'd had for 30 years. So we hadn't had weather like that since I was a kid, like tiny kid. And so, it was just one of those random fluke things that no one knew was going to come. And there was nothing we could do to keep the grapes from freezing. And so we lost so much, but we didn't lose the vine, and that was huge. So I know a lot of places elsewhere in the States have that problem. Like if it freezes, they're starting over and it's 3 to 5 years out before they have grapes again.
At Vapiano, and I know they're not the only one, but in Walla Walla, they bury the cane. So that will, if that does happen in the every 6 to 9 years, you'll have that hard freeze that lasts, right? If 1 or 2 days is fine, but gets much further than that, and that freeze goes down and kills the vine. When you graft that cane down in there, it saves you another year or two. So that you still lose a year or two in harvest because you have to restart. But if you don't have that freeze, then they just snip that cane off and off they go. So it's just interesting. You know, both Shelly and I are very much love to get our hands dirty in the garden, in the yard, and where we don't grow grapes, you know, we enjoy gardening. And you know, creating wine, growing grapes is farming at one end, and then you create the wine on the other end. And so it's fascinating, all of that. We're going to get into the Malbec next. Now, have you poured this one yet?
Nope, I'm pouring it right now.
Yay. Okay.
I did open them a couple hours ago, so they had a nice chance to breathe.
You know, I did not, looking at the years, I was like, we should be okay not having...
They're pretty good by themselves right off the gate, but I had the opportunity, so I didn't waste it.
I enjoy the way wine evolves as well, when it's tight out of the bottle. And then you see that open up, taste opening up. I love that. That's just so cool. All right, let me do this. And this is the 2020 Hat Ranch Winery Malbec. There is something to be said for doing this on Zoom. We are having our issues with recording or videoing other ways. And this way is good, except sometimes the sound will cut in and out.
Yeah.
All in all, it's a better way of doing it where I can actually show the wine up there. Because we now have a YouTube channel, so we put it up on YouTube.
Perfect.
Oh, this got a great nose. I have a question, but I feel like I want to toast this up and then ask the question.
Yeah.
So hashtag cheersing.
Cheersing.
Bling. Bling. This is really earthy. It's got some, I feel like I'm tasting the terroir.
Absolutely.
What? We have company. I'm so
finally here. Yay. Good thing we didn't wait for her. Hi, Shelly.
Shelly, this is Erin. Erin, this is Shelly. This is the first time on Wine Time Fridays that we have had it this way. But that's okay because we can pivot. We can do that okay. So I feel like I want to back up just for her to have a taste of this.
You have to have a taste of this.
There you go.
You cannot miss the dry Moscato.
We already did our wine word of the week because it was Muscat grapes.
Oh.
Yep, from Naked Wines.
Why are those happy faces back there?
Because we're happy. Happy.
We're drinking wine on a Friday afternoon. Why isn't it happy?
It's not bad. So I'm not going to hurry her through that, but yeah, have a taste of that. This is fun. This is gosh, we're having so much fun. Erin, this is great.
It's always great when you get to drink the wine when you talk about it.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
There was a time where that almost didn't happen, but then our app crashed, and so we had to abort the entire recording, which was too bad. Oh, this is yours.
This is lovely. So I expected it to be sweeter.
Uh-huh.
It has sweeter on the nose, but it's nice and dry.
Did you hear what the residual sugar is on it?
I did not.
There's absolutely zero residual sugar.
Yeah, isn't
For
that
Moscato, people are always surprised. And I tell them, this is Moscato at its purest, its best when you don't have the sugar to weigh it down. You get the true flavor of the grapes this way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Has anyone ever done that dry Moscato before?
We do it all the time. We've been doing it since we've opened. So I know of one other winery in Idaho that does it dry, and I have never seen one dry otherwise.
Interesting. That's just really interesting. You guys are blazing trails.
It's technically an old world style. So Italy used to do Moscato that was dry. They didn't have the sugar on it, but over the years it's evolved to become a sweet wine where people want it to be sweet. And so our winemaker, Tim Harless, wanted to do something out of the box. And so he's like, you know what? I don't want sweet wine. I'm going to make it dry, and people are going to either love it or they hate it. And I don't care.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We just toasted this up, so we'll go ahead and do a proper hashtag toast. There we go. Now I feel complete.
Woohoo! So this is our 2020 Malbec.
It's got a great nose. I'm getting berries and dark fruit on the nose, and then
Absolutely.
on the palate, it's a little bit dirtier, a little more earthy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go and say sheep butt, but I do get a little barnyard in it.
It's not that barnyard.
This is nice. Talk to us a little bit about this Malbec.
So this Malbec is probably one of our highest award winners that we've had throughout the history of Hat Ranch. So it is a triple award winner, and that we got a 94-point outstanding ranking gold medal from the Great Northwest Wine Magazine in their Malbec competition. The Cascadia Wine Competition this year gave it a double gold, and the Idaho Wine Competition also gave it a double gold. So we're very, very pleased with the outcome of what this wine has done.
Yeah, I'll bet. How many cases of this?
So this one we had roughly 240 cases.
Okay.
So
Can you explain, because I keep hearing double gold.
Yeah.
Are you getting like a gold for color and a gold for flavor, or
no, so when they have panels for the competitions, they always have two panels that vote on the wines. And so when you win a gold medal, one panel gave you a gold medal, and it's great, always great to get a gold medal. But when both panels give you a gold medal, that's like the highest honor you can get, unless they have like a best of show or best of category, things like that. So this one, to win two distinct double gold medals, is huge for us.
What's wrong?
I can't see your face.
Now you can't see our Wine Time Fridays.
That's all right. Thank
Okay.
you.
We aren't going to need it. They're all going to be excellent or better.
Phenomenal. Do. Okay, then I can do this, and I can do this.
And so this Malbec is actually a blend of 3 different grapes. Being here in the Snake River Valley, we have contracts with growers. So if we don't grow it on our estate, we have specific blocks that we get every year from the growers. And so this one is some from Roxburgh Vineyards, which is in Melba, some from Williamson's, also nearby, and then Sawtooth as well. And so it's great to kind of bring in different grapes, because then you get more variety of flavors that just meld together in the bottle and make everything so much happier.
That Williamson Orchards?
Orchard and Vineyard, yep. So they have their own tasting room and everything too.
Yeah, we actually featured one of their wines last year during Idaho Wine Month.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But it's 100% Malbec then?
Yep. 100% Malbec.
Three different
vineyards. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. You know, we're going to take a quick break now that you're here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about someone you know that actually worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about that because we have a little surprise.
Ooh, I like surprises. It's always well when there's wine involved.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you get it.
There's not very many jobs in this world where you can go to work and get paid to drink. So I like that.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, episode 167 on this June 30, the last Friday in June, which is sad. Shelley, you're going to be in a parade on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. 4th of July parade.
And then 2 more right after that.
2 more. I know a week from tomorrow is in Post Falls.
And then Hayden Days.
When's that? That's not on my
After
calendar.
that, I don't know.
Well, I'm the last to know anything, or I just didn't listen to when I was told. Just probably the latter.
Probably.
We have got Erin Rutherford with Hat Ranch Winery to put a bow on Idaho Wine Month this year. Now, that, again, doesn't mean you should stop drinking Idaho wine.
No.
Idaho Wine Month is over, but Idaho is producing some unbelievable wines. In fact, I still have some in my glass, which I have another glass, so I can do that. We just tasted the 2020 Malbec, which is a double gold winner. And before that was the dry Moscato from the Muscat Grape, which again, it's just amazing. This is the first time we've had Muscat on our podcast.
I am so glad I sent that one to you.
Yeah, I am too. So we have now one that Shelley knows I am not a fan of at all, but I'll go ahead and choke it down.
It must be a Cabernet Franc.
How did you
It
know?
totally is.
He loves that. That's his favorite. He's a super fan.
I am a super fan. Yep, a super fan of Chinon and Cab Franc.
Perfect.
Okay, Shelley. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now we have to make sure we don't mix them up. Is this 100% Cabernet Franc, Erin?
Yes. Yes, it is.
A 2020 Hat Ranch Winery Cab Franc with the drip down the front, which is my very favorite thing ever. I don't know why I like it. I just do. Let's give this, I'm not going to say a sniffy sniff in a whirl. Are you?
A swirl.
Swirl. Do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
No.
Okay. He hasn't made his way into the state for some reason.
No.
Yeah. Okay. This one's having trouble getting into my nose. There we are.
As long as it doesn't have trouble getting in your mouth, right?
Nice try.
Also good.
Yum.
Lovely.
Yum.
What year is this?
Also,
So this is a 2020.
You know, we didn't say anything about the alcohol in any of these three. So, you know, off the top of your head.
13.3 for the dry Moscato.
And the Malbec.
13.9.
Okay, this one seems a little hotter.
It's 14.6.
Okay.
This is the highest that you're going to taste today.
Yep. And so letting this thing rest a little bit in the glass will kind of get that heat out, I think, a little bit. But this is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about this Cabernet Franc.
So this particular grape we picked up from the Hagerman Valley, which is southwest or southeast of Boise. There's a vineyard down there called the Epoch Valley Vineyards that this came from. And they called us and said, hey, we've got a bunch of our Cab Franc. And also we picked up Semillon that year as well. Do you guys want it? And we're like, oh my gosh, yes, we always love Cab Franc. And so we pulled it up, did our thing, and here you go. You get a lot going on with this one. 30% new French oak and extended skin contact, so a lot darker than a typical Cab Franc. Definitely deeper, more aging potential. This one's going to be one of those you can let rest for 10, 15 years and still enjoy it immensely.
You're amazing, Erin. Your glass keeps disappearing when you swirl.
It's magic.
It is magic.
Because I'm in my bedroom because I don't have any other quiet space. So I had to put a background on. You can't see it.
There you go. I'm going to cut this part out because I drip wine on my computer.
Oh,
You noob.
I know. You know, as much wine as I pour, you would think that I wouldn't drip as much, but I really have not got that little thing down.
Twist. You don't pour enough.
Maybe I won't cut that out of the video, but I'll cut it out of the audio. But you are the tasting room manager. You have to do an awful lot of pouring out of the bottle. Have you got that down where you can pour without dripping?
Oh, we totally cheat. We have wine stoppers.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yep. But we love them because it's a 5-in-1 is what it's called. And so it helps to filter if we happen to get any pieces of cork or if there's sediment. It's got a little waffle groove inside of it to help pull through. It aerates as we pour, and it helps to kind of concentrate where it's pouring so we're not dribbling near as much. And then at the end of the day, we close it up and put it in the fridge, and away we go the next day. So it really helps.
How long do you before you open, how long do you take those wines back out of the fridge?
So we will open and serve as long as it's not too warm in our tasting room. If it's really warm, we'll put the reds in the fridge when we're not pouring, because we're out in the trail, we're out in the vineyard, and it gets hot, so you can't always keep the cool weather inside. We try to use it that day. We really don't like to keep things open. At most, we'll have something open for 3 days, but after that, it's like, okay, take it home for dinner.
Yeah, right. I mean, you could even maybe make a case of taking it home for dinner after that second day.
Yep. Depends on what it is. When we used to have a sweet Moscato, that was the thing. It's like 2 days on a sweet Moscato is pretty much where you want to be. Anything past that, and it tastes like vinegar. So
yeah, you don't want to pour that in your tasting room. I can't imagine anyone having more knowledge of the wines than someone who's managing the tasting room, other than the winemaker. But you are actually reciting this over and over and over.
Oh, countless times.
Yeah.
We actually just participated in Savor Idaho, which is Idaho's biggest wine festival. And it's at the Botanical Gardens in Boise. And it is a beautiful, lovely day, except when it rains, which has been this year and last year.
oh.
Yeah, that sucks.
So this year we made it through till the last hour before the sky opened up and dumped buckets. But otherwise, it was a glorious day. And we had 3 wines, and we talked about those 3 wines nonstop.
So Shelley and I were at Lindsay Creek Vineyards last Saturday, a week ago, Saturday. I forget. Anyway, when we left there, we went to the Revora tasting room in Julietta and met our friend Lane Hewitt. And I may have talked to Lane about his time at Hat Ranch Winery. Would you like to hear what he said?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it was great. It gave me a lot of the information, and learned basically how to, be able to take care / what it takes to run a small winery / business. Because you got to do a little bit of everything, winemaking to the vineyard side of things, to the marketing, to the accounting. So that was the biggest benefit out of it all.
How long were you there?
3 or 4 years.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so I actually tried to bait him into revealing some dirty little secrets. And he's like, there's really no dirty little secrets.
No, it's
but
too
I-
small to have secrets.
He did say basically everything that is out there, people know. But he did wrap up with this little comment.
Did you work with Erin? Yeah, she was at the tasting room. Okay. Mm-hmm. She's a troublemaker. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a secret. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, I just met Erin for the first time face to face today, but I just felt like I could say that, and yeah. So it's really interesting when you start hearing about the wine industry, and really almost any industry, but the wine industry being kind of the romantic industry that it is. On the surface, there's a lot of work that goes involved. It is farming. It is countless hours in the lab, figuring out blends and this and that.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was with you guys for the 3 or 4 years is pretty cool.
Yep. He learned a lot, and then he decided, oh, we're gonna go open our own winery.
Yeah. You guys have 2 labels too.
We do. So when we started in 2011, officially, we didn't have a bottling facility. So that's where our second label came in. That's the Veil label. They started in Garden City in the early 2000s. They were known for having very classic varietals, things that you could find wherever you went, and things that you would know, okay, if I open this cab, it's going to taste like a cab. If I open this oak Chardonnay, it's going to be buttery and oaky. And so we partnered with them for about 3 years, and the owner showed our owner the ropes of everything that came with bottling and making the wine, and learning what style Tim wanted to do with his Hat Ranch label. And in 2014, they actually decided to retire. And at that point, we were able to outright purchase the bottling facility and the label from them. And so we kept it. We didn't want people to be like, oh, you bought Veil and then it disappeared. Well, that sucks, because then there goes all of their followers.
Sure. That's very smart. You on purpose, by design, only sent us the Hat Ranch.
Yes, it's very confusing for people.
Yeah, it could be confusing, but I wanted to make sure that we talked about Veil a little bit. So what are the differences between the 2 labels? And what?
So they're both, all of our winemakers, the grapes that we pick or grow at our estate, everything goes into the same. Like, we don't outsource from anywhere else. The only thing that we've done different with the Veil, we did outsource a Pinot Noir in 2019. We had a local grower who said, I acquired a lot of Pinot Noir this year and it is more than I need. And so we ended up taking some off our hands and deciding what to do with it. We probably won't do that again because it's not Idaho. So we're like, okay, well, that's great. We had a Pinot, but they're fickle babies and they don't like Idaho.
Where did that fruit come from?
So that one was from Hood River, Oregon.
Okay. Yeah, so
still close.
Sure, and also a renown for their
Pinot Valley, absolutely.
But I get it.
Yeah. So then, so the Veil label, like I said, we kept the style. So it's still our classic varietals, our oak Chardonnay, Merlot, Cab, our Syrah. Oh my gosh, our Syrah is my favorite. If I was going to send you a Veil one, it would have been that. It is my favorite reds, hands down right now. I keep sneaking bottles home and my husband's like, why do you keep bringing this wine home? And I'm like, because I can't help it. So, and then our Hat Ranch label is any of our specialties like that dry Moscato or any of our blends. We have hat trick blends. And so we have a hat trick white, a hat trick rosé, and a hat trick red. And for those of you who are not sports fans, a hat trick is always 3 goals from one person in a game. So for hockey or soccer, even darts, very rarely do they get it in darts. But so we have hat trick wines, and so that's a lot of fun. The blends always change. We have yet to have a repeat on the hat trick red, and that was one of our flagship reds. Like the hat trick red was the first red we ever did, and so you would be surprised how many varieties you can put with only 3 and never repeat.
Isn't that interesting? So
Yeah.
my guess is your hat trick series is a little lesser price point.
Yeah, so our hat trick 2020 is at $29 a bottle. So a little bit lower than the typical red, but still very affordable and very easy to take home, and forget that it's only a Tuesday when you open it.
Exactly. So to kind of review, $21 in the dry Moscato, $33 on the Malbec, and $5 for
$35 for the Cab Franc.
And we're going to get to the Tempranillo after this break. I know. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Erin Rutherford with Hat Ranch Winery. We have just tasted through the dry Moscato. We've just tasted through the Malbec and the Cabernet Franc. And now this is interesting, because I would have thought the Tempranillo would have come a little bit earlier in the line, but Erin's like, no, you're going to do that last. And so who am I to argue with tasting room manager of Hat Ranch Winery, who probably knows a whole lot more? That's a white wine glass.
Yes, I know.
You're going to have red wine in a white wine glass? Well,
you know,
you gave it to me, so that's what I have.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do.
Oh,
here's what we're going to do.
You're going to drink it. Okay. And then, all right, glass.
Okay, there we go.
She's driving to the burger joint. You're good.
I don't think she is. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay,
Waste
there we
not,
go.
Want not.
Waste not, want not. Yeah, I just don't like dump buckets. Now, there's a time and a place for dump buckets.
Absolutely. When you're going to 5 wineries in a day, then dump buckets are a great thing.
And
sitting at home drinking wine, no.
5 wineries is a lot to do in a tasting. Yeah, I'm thinking 2 to 3 tops.
I'm good with 2.
If you want to do it right.
Yes,
if you're just blowing through, have at it. But I don't think that's the way to do it.
Nope.
No.
It's the 2020 Tempranillo from where, Shelley? Hat Ranch Winery.
Nice.
Yes, an Idaho wine. And this is got a alcohol
13.9.
Nice. And this might be the first time that we've got all these wines lined up like this. That's kind of cool. I like it. Yeah, let's give this a whirl. I'm excited for this. Yummy, yummy. Hashtag. Cheersing. Wow, you are just off your mojo, but that's okay. You're here.
So this Tempranillo, we actually added a splash of Petit Verdot and Merlot to help round it out. Sometimes you just got to give something a little extra, and it makes everything better.
What is that little splash? Like 2-3%?
I think there's about 1% of Petit Verdot and maybe 4% Merlot. Very little, just enough to kind of round it off.
This is delicious.
It is delicious.
This is.
They're all delicious.
They're all delicious in their own way, right?
Absolutely.
I think I really like this one.
The Tempranillo.
Over. This might be my favorite. Yeah.
And you love Cab Franc, so this is a new thing.
Oh, I mean, look, we're splitting hairs here. Cab Franc,
Tempranillo, red wine.
As long as it doesn't have yellowtail on the front. There, I said it.
It does not.
Yeah.
It has a hat. Do you want to hear about why there's a hat on our label?
I'm going to ask you that, but I didn't know. I already asked. And
yes.
What hat is it?
So the hat is actually from a branding iron. The owner's great-grandparents had a cattle and sheep ranch in Tensley, Wyoming. that was called the Hat Ranch. And so when Tim wanted to open a winery, he'd come across some stationery that had the hat on the stationery and thought, man, that would make a really cool wine label. So he contacted the family members that still had all the memorabilia and everything from the ranch. It wasn't active anymore, but he said, hey, I'm opening a winery. What are the chances I could use the Hat Ranch name for my winery? And they're like, oh my gosh, heck yes, go for it. We'll even send you the branding iron and everything.
It keeps the name living.
It keeps the name living.
Yeah.
So they actually established the ranch in 1902. I'm not sure what year they ended, probably mid 60s is what I think is when they stopped doing the ranch, but it's still, we have the branding iron in our tasting room. And I joke with many customers that they're going to get double tapped because it is a 2-piece. And so when I show them, I'm like, all right, everybody, who's up first?
Wow.
So it's one of those fun things that you don't have stories like that very often. And so it's a lot of fun just to throw people off, be like, oh, why are you the Hat Ranch? Oh, you have hats on your post. That must be why you're the Hat Ranch. Nope, it's not.
Well, I mean, that might be superficially why, but it goes way beyond that.
Yes.
And as Shelley and I will say until we're blue in the face, it's the stories behind the wineries and the wines.
Yep,
That's
love the story.
That's why, as well as the education aspect of this, it's those stories that they're so unique to each winery.
Yeah, they are.
We just love that. Something about picking your own grapes.
Yeah.
Tell
about it.
I mean, people can come visit and pick their own grapes in the vineyard.
I sometimes I take people down when we're about ready to harvest and talk about the grapes and where we're at and what we're planning to harvest next. And so we'll go down and we'll pick a cluster and they'll get to taste it. Most of the time people are really shocked because they're really thick skinned and they're seeds. And so they're like, oh, why would you eat this? And we're like, but you don't eat it, you drink it. So a lot of times, especially with our Moscato, we will just pick a cluster and have it in the tasting room and be like, okay, guys, we're harvesting our Moscato this week. Go ahead and try a Moscato grape. Most people have never had wine grapes except as wine. So
that's really nice.
It's a lot of fun. And our vineyard we're right there on the vineyard. It's like 60 yards from the tasting room. So not that far.
Winemakers will go in and do their testing, but they'll always grab a grape or two and they just split it open and kind of take a little taste, and they know what they're looking for. It's still going to be different than what's in the bottle, but both of those things are on my bucket list. That and doing a barrel taste.
Oh, you've never done a barrel tasting? Oh my gosh, that's a tragedy. You need to fix that really fast.
I thought that Erin would be cool and wouldn't shame me.
You just come on down. We'll barrel taste.
I would love that. Can't wait. Shelley's barrel tasted. I have not barrel tasted.
Oh, we do barrel tastings. I actually made the owner bring barrels to my tasting room because our bottling facility is not on site. And so it's very difficult to do a barrel tasting at the tasting room. So I made him bring the barrels to me. And we did barrel tasting for Thanksgiving. And then we did another barrel tasting for the spring equinox. So
you can actually do a barrel taste, and then although it wouldn't be apples to apples per se, shouldn't use apples.
But we can compare what's current.
Yeah, a little bit. Like here's the Cab Franc that's been in the bottle for blah blah, and here's a Cab Franc out of the barrel. You taste the difference, and that's what I'm looking forward to, is just what that is like.
Yeah. You know? So case in point, the Tempranillo that you were trying for Thanksgiving weekend, we did our 2021 Tempranillo that was still in barrel. And people were like, can I buy this now? Where's the bottles? Can I want to take one home? And I'm like, you're drinking it out of the barrel. It's got to still get happy with itself. It's got like 6 more months at least before we bottle. So, but they were adamant to take it home. Yeah.
Has that gone in the bottle yet?
Nope. Not bottling any of the 21 reds, probably later this summer.
Gotcha. That is so freaking cool. And by the way, this Tempranillo is awesome and it would be really good with turkey.
It goes really well with carne asada.
Oh, love that. Here's some rapid fire questions for you, Erin.
Okay, shoot.
Food pairings for the dry Moscato.
Spicy Thai, hands down. We talked about that already.
Yep. I don't think Shelly heard that, so I wanted her to
Yeah.
hear that. Food pairings for this Malbec.
Chocolate cake. Oh.
So this is a really good order.
So I want to throw something out that people are going to be like, you did what now? So we had a summer solstice celebration with a local gelato company, the Gelato Shop out in Nampa, and we made wine floats with their gelato. And they have a stracciatella gelato, which is a sweet cream with dark chocolate bits. And I put it in the Malbec. And the little bit of dark chocolate with the Malbec just bursting cherries. It's like chocolate covered cherries. So decadent.
So, Shelley, you know,
Sounds really good.
we don't often tell about some of the things going on around here, but our Rotary Club has the Brewery Olympics coming up August 5th. So anybody hearing this, we have the Brewery Olympics August 5th. Every game is designed to play while holding a beer. And what Shelley just said, because the kids wanted to get involved, they're also having the Root Beer Olympics.
Root Beer Olympics. Of course they would. Aw.
and so that's August 5th. Tickets are $15, $25 in advance for adults and 15 for kids. Just wanted to put that out there. That seemed like a natural segue.
Yeah.
Good. So
back to the Cab Franc, food pairing with the Cab Franc. And when we did our release party for this particular wine, we did a chili cook-off with the Cab Franc. And it was one of our best wine club releases ever. It was so much fun. So we had our wine club members sign up to bring pots of chili, and we tasted it with the wine, and we voted who made the best chili, and it was an all-around great day in January.
So the wine club members brought chili.
And then we had a big old shindig with it. It was so much fun.
That would be great.
We are going to circle back to the wine club, but let's get the wine pairings or food pairings for this Tempranillo.
Tempranillo, you know, you can go good with barbecue. I really like it with carne asada, or if you did a beef fajita, would be amazing. Yeah.
That sounds good.
A burger. We'll bring this tonight for the burger.
Burgers, yeah. I mean, wine is subjective. You like what you like, and it can go with what food you want it to. We've had so many people be like, I eat this with Cheetos. And we're like, okay, if that works for you. So
yes, I love that. Wine club, you mentioned it. Let's go a little deeper into that.
So we actually have kind of an extensive wine club. We do club releases every other month, starting in January. So all the odd months of the year, we do club release. So we have 6 releases throughout the year, but that's when we bring out our new wine. Instead of doing it quarterly or like twice a year, we kind of pepper it through. So we're padding our menu more often, and there's always something new. And that's one of the best things that I tell people. I'm like, oh my gosh, join our wine club. We've got new things every other month. There's always something coming. So we do, generally it's a split variety, so you get a white and a red, and it's always winemaker choice. It's what they decide out of our newest wines that they would love to have come out to the tasting room. Sometimes it's because we have run out of the previous vintage, or sometimes it's like, okay, we didn't have that before, so we're bringing it out now. So it's a lot of fun.
Wines will be ready at certain times of the year. They're not going to be ready in spring and fall necessarily.
No.
And what you guys are doing is certainly going to be a little bit more work on your end.
Oh, yes. Instead of 2 or 3 wine club parties, I have 6. And so it makes a lot more planning.
But it's a party.
People probably get to know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And people are like, oh my gosh, we saw you at the last club release.
I love that.
You again.
I love that. And I really like that on odd months, you're going to have, so January, March,
May, July, September, November.
You know them all off the top of your head because
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
we should probably mention a few of the wines that we had this last week.
Okay. Did we have more?
Yeah, I have 2 more.
let's see. We had a Rivera Rosé, a Montero Reserve Shiraz from McLarenville.
Mhm. Yeah.
An Albarreño from Mar de Ons,
Mm-hmm.
and an Awesome Cellars Rosé, and a Ghost Black Zinfandel from Napa.
That ghost block was so good.
It was good.
That was so good. By the way, the Rivera Rosé,
It's not pink.
it's so pale.
Did
It
they
is-
do the Provence style on it?
Well, it is a Provence style, but
Uh-huh.
what Lane said is that they're getting more and more. The trend is to have a more pale rosé, and if you see a little more pink, a little darker, people think it's sweet.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those people. It just in my mind, I'm thinking it's a little sweeter, even though I've had plenty of darker rosés that are not at all sweet. They're pretty
Yep.
dry.
Yep. We actually have 3 rosés right now.
Really?
Not purposely, just incidentally. We have 2 that we released last year, and then our newest one that we released this year. So we have a Provence style dry rosé with Cab Franc. Ding, 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 ding. Cab Franc. Very pale. It's like cantaloupe color. It's not even pink.
There's my rosé.
You made your rosé.
Good.
So 0 sugar on that dry rosé, very crisp, very clean, delicate notes for sure. And then we have an off dry. It's our hat trick rosé, Malbec Merlot and a splash of Cab Franc. First time we've ever done a hat trick. It tastes like fresh garden strawberries. It's amazing. And then we have another rosé, which is our Veil rosé, which is a Malbec Merlot split, and it's strawberries and cream through and through. So there's a rosé for everyone. We actually just did rosé flights on National Rosé Day, which was earlier this month on the 10th.
Well, and then
And international.
today, last Friday, the 23rd, is International Rosé Day. You can't have too many rosé days.
You can't have too many rosé days.
I was
And
going to
it's
say,
rosé all day, all summer.
I just posted something on Instagram about 10 days ago, and it's rosé the day away.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and you can actually see the color, I think, of that Rivera.
Oh yeah, it's so pale. It almost looks like Chardonnay.
Yeah,
I
so
think you said that was just like 45 minutes on the skins.
Yeah. Minimal contact is all it takes.
and it's just amazing. It's kind of like when you make a sun tea or something, you look out after 5 minutes and there's already the color in the water. It's so, and then 2 more wines that we had. We had the Elson Cellars Syrah, and we had J. Bookwalter Reserve Chardonnay.
Last night.
Yes, we did. You did. That was pretty good as well. So how many different wines is Hat Ranch Winery producing?
Do you want to know like how many we have on the menu right now?
No, how many you actually, are you making 12, 14, 15 different wines?
We
Because
have
it sounds like
17 currently.
How many?
17. It's the most we've ever had since I worked there, and probably in history, because when I started, we didn't have that many for sure. We have a couple duplicates because, like I said, we have the 3 rosés. So generally we don't have that many. Usually we do 1. We still have some extras that we haven't gone through yet from last year. We have 2 different Chardonnays. We have a stainless barrel and we have the oak barrel. So there's one for anybody. So Chablis style on the stainless. So very bright and crisp for sure. Yeah, and we've got a couple of our hat trick red blends on the menu still. We have got our 19 vintage and the 20, so we can do side by side sometimes. But like I talked about earlier, our blends change every year, so it's comparing apples to oranges on that one. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And our newest white wine that we released was our first vintage of our estate Pinot Grigio that we made. We picked last summer, so it just came out in April. So that one's a lot of fun. It was a very tiny batch, only 82 cases. So we have that one strictly for our wine club. So there are perks to being in the club.
Exactly. There's always perks for being in a winery wine club.
Absolutely.
One of them, you can't buy that unless you're in the wine club, and then it's kind of pretty cool. How many different grapes are you growing on your estate?
So we only have 5.
Nice.
So the established crops are the Tempranillo, Cabernet Franc, and the the Moscato grapes, the Muscat Atenel. And then 4 years ago, we planted the Pinot Grigio, and 3 years ago, we planted Gruner Veltliner. So this should be our first crop this summer. Yes. So we're really excited. I can't wait to see what comes out of that one. We've tried a couple, and I am so excited.
We strongly suggest to our listeners, Chardonnays, Sauvignon Blancs are great, but go off the beaten path. Try a Semillon, try a Gruner, try a Vino Verde. I love the fact you're doing a Gruner Veltliner. Good.
Yes. We did have a Sauvignon Blanc on estate for a while, but we only got one main crop off of it. That was our 2014 Sauv Blanc, and then we actually had to pull the vines because they got root rot. There was an old canal under part of the property that they were just getting way too much groundwater, and it was so sad. We're like, no, because people still ask, do you have that Sauv Blanc?
Can you pull those? Obviously, you pull the vines, but can you, since you pull the vines, get some drainage going in there? And we fixed
the canal issue, and that's when we planted the Pinot, and then again we planted the Gruner the next year, and so they both seem to be loving it. We don't have any issues as of right now, so hopefully that will never come back.
Oh, that's sad. That makes me sad too.
Yeah, because we were the only ones in Idaho at that time that were growing the Sauv Blanc, and so it was really sad when we had to pull it. There's a couple of places now that have popped up with a little bit, but yeah.
One of the great things about bottling white wine and growing white wine is that you don't have that long barrel time and long bottle time necessarily.
And people don't realize how fast of a turnaround is. It's like as little as 6 months, and you can have a white wine on the shelf ready to go.
Unless you're
especially if it's stainless. Yeah.
And Beaujolais Nouveau, what, 2.5 days, and then you're on the shelf. So.
Oh gosh, no, it needs a little rest time.
Yeah, it's a marketing thing. Erin, this has been fun.
Yeah, really nice.
So fun. I was going to say what we have coming up. Do you want to say that, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. International Cava Day is the 12th. And we really don't have a day right now. Okay. International Cava Day is the 12th. Wine and Cheese Day, which is basically every day, is 25th of July. We have Shiraz Day, which is the 27th. And I don't think they have a Syrah Day. It's just Shiraz, even though it's the same grape. But we love ourselves a good McLaren Vale Shiraz. International Albarino Day on the 1st of August. And then they give it a full week. Albarino week is August 1st to 5th. We have, what else do we have? Guests.
A work week. It's only a work week, 5 days.
Well, that's perfect. Ethan Lillis with Culinary Stone is going to be on with us in July, as is Jeff Spurbeck with 7 Cellars Winery. It's John Elway's label. They're scheduled to be guests in July. And I think that's about it. Remember, we have a wine day calendar on our website now.
We do.
Yes, it's by the grape, and it's also by the month. So for those that really care about Albarino Day, they don't. That'll be the first one on the varietal. And we do have some exciting news to share next week.
We do.
Yeah. We have exciting news, seems like all the time these days. Erin, thank you again very much.
Yes, thank you for having me on. This has been fun.
A lot of fun. Big thanks to our sponsors today, Eternal Wine and The Social Web, which is us right here. And with a little bit of knowledge, wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for joining us. And now the proper person is going to bring us out with the wine bell. See you next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelly and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you, to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.